We're so glad you signed up to be a counselor for Cambridge West. We're getting ready for the campers to come through this door. And the lodge is getting ready this weekend at work weekend. And we are getting ready as counselors and campers and camp staff to be able to greet and welcome the people who come through this door. There's a lot of people who plan and prepare for camp at Cambridge West. You may see some of them and you may not see some of them. We have a board that establishes policies for Cambridge West, and so we all adhere to those policies. We have an outdoor ministries committee that does the camp evaluations and recruits directors and makes changes in what we do from year to year. We have a group of people called the Property Commission that take care of this beautiful facility at Cambridge West for us. And we have an administrator in our office who helps us get the camp brochures ready, get them out, and registers all the campers when the registrations come in. Lots and lots of people joining together as a team to be able to help campers as they come up here to have a great experience when they're at Cambridge West. I work as the regional minister. My name is Ruth Fletcher, and my job is to oversee the camps, but also to give you support as counselors and to train directors. So as we get ready to greet our campers and prepare for this week, I want to tell you a few things that you might want to keep in mind as you get ready to come to camp, as you get ready to be a counselor. One of the things that we say about camp is that we've got a purpose for what we do here. All those people come together because we care about what campers are going to learn when they get here. We have more time at camp with campers than they would in an entire school year of Sunday school. That means we have a big responsibility. And our goal, of course, is to help them to develop lives that trust God and that serve Jesus Christ in discipleship. So what we do here is about learning. It's about being community, about being an intentional Christian community for a week. And it's about being together and learning in God's creation something new and something different. We come to this place because it's different than where our other lives are. We don't allow electronics in this place because we want to shake things up just a little bit so that people have a different experience when they come here than just their normal lives at home. In fact, we've learned that people do better, they learn better, if they can have some time away from those things that they depend on all the time, like cell phones and computers and that sort of thing. So we ask campers to check those at the door when they come in. They will be giving up their iPods, their cell phones, everything electronic that they brought with them so that they can hear the sounds of nature and so that they can hear the voice of God. On the wall of Cambridge West Lodge, there are all these old guys. And sometimes the kids ask us, who are these people? And they're up there just so they'll ask that question. These are the founders of the Christian Church, Disciples of Christ. And they are people who had a dream about how to be church together. One of the things that they dreamed about was how to have a group of people interpret the Bible for themselves, to learn about that book that is the normative book of our faith, but to read it in such a way that they understood the historical circumstances of the book. Who was it written to? Who were the people who read it? Why was it written? What kind of literature is it? What was the context of when it was written? Who was the author? Who were the audience? Those kinds of questions matter when we read the Bible. And so we spend a lot of time at Cambridge West looking at Bible stories and trying to figure out what we think they mean for our own lives. We have a set of these Bibles in the conference room at Cambridge West. And for some of your campers, it's going to be the first time they've ever seen this book. So we have to know that we're going to have campers who understand a lot about this, who have been in Sunday school, and campers who may not know their way around. So just giving them some hints about where to start can help. For example, you might want to just explain that this book has two different parts to it. That it has the First Testament and the Second Testament, the Old Testament and the New Testament. You also might want to explain to them that there are a bunch of numbers in this text. They may not know how to find the chapter that's up at the top, or what these little numbers mean, that these are verses, and when you give them a reference, they may not know how to correlate those. So just to help them do that can help. Or if you're having to find the book of Matthew, for example, you might just say, instead of making them look through the table of content and find the page, it's in the New Testament. So which part of the Bible is that going to be? Let them answer and then say, okay, we're going to try to find chapter 4, verse 3. And talk a little bit about how you would do that. Matthew is the first gospel in the New Testament. Just giving them some little clues like that can help them to feel at home at camp. One of the things our camp staff has created for you is a camp staff manual. And I hope that you will get acquainted with that because it's got a lot of good tips in it for you. It tells you, for example, what to do when you have a child who is homesick. It tells you what to do when you can't get somebody to go to sleep in your cabin. It talks to you about what the policies and procedures are for Cambridge West so that everybody can be on the same page and everybody can be following the rules all at once. I'm not going to tell you a lot about what's in this book because I figure you can read that for yourself. But I will commend it to you and hope that you will spend some time with it before you become a counselor at Cambridge West. I want to talk with you a little bit about the small group because likely you will be a small group leader at camp and your director will be telling you a little bit more about how that will work. You will have, for example, a curriculum that you will be able to follow with your small group so you don't have to make it up from scratch. But it does mean that you're going to have a group of people every day, sometimes twice a day, that you will be working with. The small group is the heart of camp. That's the place where people learn that it is a safe place for them to be themselves. In fact, campers have said to me over and over, camp is the one place I can truly be myself and not have to worry about what other people are thinking about me. When we can provide a safe place, a place that's safe emotionally from judgment, and a place that's physically safe for them, then they can learn and grow. They can ask questions. They can express doubts. They can try some new challenges that maybe they have never tried before. That's what we want camp to be. And so in your small group, you're going to have some time when you're going to be doing some teaching, some talking, but mostly you're going to be doing a lot of listening in your small group because the small groups are really for the campers to express their thoughts, to ask their questions, to be the people that they can be in this place. And so when we come together as an intentional Christian community, we make a covenant together. Now, some of that covenant's already fixed because it's policies set by our regional board. But the campers bring their own ideas to what makes a good covenant. Sometimes they'll say things like, no put-downs. That's what we want our camp to be, a place where there's no put-downs and nobody's judging anybody else. Sometimes they'll say things like, we'd like to take shorter showers, please, because that means that I get a hot shower and so do you. You never know what they're going to put in the covenant, but once everybody agrees to it and we all sign it, then that's the rules we live by for the week. When campers sign up for camp, we ask them to fill out a form to say that they are going to follow certain policies. We make their parents sign that form, and we make their pastors sign that form. So everybody knows what's expected at camp. So I'm going to read something to you. I haven't read to you yet, but I am going to read this to you because this also applies to counselors, not just campers. So they agree to take part in all the scheduled events from the beginning of the event to the end. That means we really discourage campers from leaving early or coming late. That's because we're trying to build community at camp. And when you come into a community late, you're always an outsider. It says, I will cooperate with event leaders. That means you too, whether these leaders are adults or youth. That means we show respect to those who are up front. And as a counselor, you need to make sure that happens. I will respect each person attending the event, treating them with dignity and equality. That's pretty self-explanatory. And I will not wear provocative or offensive clothing. I will not use foul language or behave in ways that are belittling or harmful to others. Now, sometimes this is a judgment call. And if you're not sure, if you see a camper in something you have a question about, it's a good time to ask your director about what to do. I will not use electronic equipment at camp. And we've changed this lately, so that means even iPods, not even during rest time. We just are having an electronic-free camp. I will not bring illegal substances to camp. I will preserve the cleanliness and condition of camp. I will not bring food to camp. I will not drive. If I drive to camp, I will park my car out in the parking lot and leave it parked. And I will not go into each other's space. Now, you may have been at a camp when you were little where the big camp thing was to do raids on each other's property. It doesn't happen here. And so if you have campers who are trying to get that started, suggest instead that they go serenade the other group. And it says, I will only swim at designated times with adult supervision. That means when it's river time, we all go to the river. And when it's not river time, nobody's at the river. One of the things we do at Cane Ridge West is we train new leaders. And we can't do that unless youth are given an opportunity to lead. So we give them opportunities to lead and try to build things underneath them to help them succeed. They can lead in worship, they can lead at campfire, they can lead in recreation. We give them lots of opportunities to be up front and to try their skills. For some youth, it will be the first time that they've been up in front of a group, and you may get the privilege of watching them gain their confidence during a week of camp. Here's our camp first aid kit. This is where we keep all the non-prescription drugs. If you have a skinned knee, here's the place where you come. We've got Band-Aids and of course all that sort of stuff, but we also have some non-prescription medicine that if a camper has a headache or something, they may want an aspirin, they may want something like that. You can give it to them as a counselor if they have a signed permission on their health form that says that's okay. We cannot hand out any medication out of this cabinet unless there is a signed release from their parents. As a counselor, you may be asked to be the first aid person at camp. If that's the case, you will have these supplies available to you and also some down below over here in the cupboard. This is the place where you also will have the youth or the children come who have brought prescription medicine to camp. You will go into the pantry where you keep that under lock and key, bring it out here, and record every single time you give a dose to one of the campers. If there's an injury that happens at camp, we also have to record that in an injury log. So if you're assigned to be the first aid person, it means you need to be very accurate about writing everything down. This is the kitchen where all the meals are prepared for camp, and we all help out. When it's time for lunch or dinner or breakfast, there's setup work to do. Right now, the tables are not even set up in the lodge, but once they're set up, the campers are the ones that help to find the napkins and the silverware and put them out on the table. Then they'll come through a line here and get food for the meal and sit as a family group for the meals. They'll do grace before the meals, and sometimes your small group will be responsible for that. If you need some ideas, there's some in the counselor manual that you can take a look at. But often there will be children or youth at camp who have been to camp before and know some good ones. And the rule at camp is, if you say grace, you get to go first. One of the things we make sure that happens is that we have plenty of food and plenty of drinks for people during the day. In fact, if it's a hot summer week, we'll make sure that there's water out here for your campers all the time. But what we don't allow is for campers to bring food from home. Care packages? Nope. That says that on the registration form. So we don't want cookies, candy, even beverages coming into camp. We don't need any of that stuff because they're going to have plenty of food here that's good and nutritious for them. This place belongs to all of us. So this is the place you will see campers right after meals, because there's always a team of campers that helps with the meal cleanup. Some of them get really good at running this dishwasher and pretty proud of the fact that they can do it. But it's getting the dishes clean and getting them put away after each meal. At the end of camp, we also all pitch in to make sure that this place stays as good as it was when we came in the door. This checklist will be something your director will be showing you. It'll be divided up probably with your small groups doing chores that you check off as a counselor to make sure that the youth have participated in the cleanup and that they've done a great job of cleaning up. Okay. So here we are in the cabin. You may be staying here with the folks in your cabin group, or you may be staying in one of the rooms in the lodge. Regardless of where you're staying, you're in charge. And what that means is that after campfire at night, your youth or your children are going to brush their teeth, get ready for bed, and coming into this place. Then you are staying here because there is a director out there roaming around, looking for strays, looking for people who may be getting into mischief, and you don't need to worry about that. What you need to worry about are the people here in your cabin or in your lodge room. It's easier to get youth and children to bed if you have a routine established the very first night that you get here. You might decide to read a story. You might decide to have campers go around in a circle and tell something that they appreciated about the day, and then have a prayer together. It doesn't matter so much what the routine is. You could choose something that's comfortable for you. What's important is that you have a routine that gets them settled down and helps them to go to sleep by lights out. Now, what happens if in the middle of the night somebody has to go to the bathroom? Well, they go, of course, but they need to be right back in the cabin, and so that's why you probably will be sleeping all week with one eye open. This is the place where we come to campfire. It's a place where we have a lot of fun, where we sing a lot of silly songs, where we do skits, where we roast marshmallows, where we make s'mores, but it's also the place where we come to worship. At night, groups from the camp lead worship around this fire. And there's a lot of young people who have given their lives to Christ around this fire, who have made commitments to Christian service around this fire. This is sacred ground. These are holy ashes. And when we come around this fire, we want to make sure that we are creating an atmosphere where youth can hear the voice of God speaking in their own lives. So it's important that it's not just all fun and games when we're down here at the campfire. And if your small group is in charge of leading, you will have youth who will be able to lead some of those songs, who will be able to do some of those silly skits, and given the chance, they will also be youth who will be able to lead the prayers and read the scripture and lead the meditation that happens at campfire that will lead others into a deeper relationship with Jesus Christ. You remember I told you we want Cane Ridge West to be an emotionally safe place, but also a physically safe place? Well, this is one of the things that we use to make sure that it's safe. After campfire, your group may be in charge of putting out the fire. You do it with this hose and you make sure it is dead out before you leave. That means stirring the ashes, that means making sure there's no embers glowing at all, and you make sure the fire is dead out. Before a campfire, when you come to light the fire, with small children, you're going to want to have an adult present. The older children can do that by themselves, but they still need an adult watching. Fire safety is an important thing at Cane Ridge West. We all want to make sure that this place is safe. This fire hose is for use by the fire department in Lincoln only. It is here to help if there's a fire close to the lodge to provide more water. But it's attached to something that would blow your socks off if you were to grab hold of it. So we let the professionals use it. We make sure it's ready for them to use. And we also make sure that we do what we can to keep fires from happening around here. I already showed you the pump that's by the campfire, but we also have these benches here, and if you are a smoker, this is where the smoking happens. There's no smoking in any of the rooms in Cane Ridge West Lodge, in the Fellowship House, or in the cabins. Each day we have a chance to go to the river and experience life on the river, either floating or swimming or just hanging out. This river, of course, is way faster than it's going to be this summer when you come to camp. Hopefully there will be a nice swimming area here that the younger kids can use. And there will be a slower current over on this side so that the older kids can float in tubes. We require life jackets for everybody who's on the river, no matter what it is that they're doing. We do have a raft that we can use, but most of the time the kids use the inner tubes. And the first camp of the season is the one who blows those up. We have an air compressor in the shed that will help you to do that. Each camper puts down their own swimming ability on their form. But sometimes directors ask them to test that out in a swimming test at the beginning of the week. Your director will be the one who will decide what the rules will be here at the river for your appropriate age group. Sometimes it will mean that people need a buddy. When there's a blast of a whistle or someone calls out, "Buddy up," then they have to find their buddy in order to make sure that they're safe and that they're swimming with somebody else. Because as you can see, we have no lifeguard here. That's also why the whole staff comes down to the river every single day. So if you're going to take any time for rest or you're going to take any time off, it's not during river time. There are lots of materials for you to use at camp. Some are out in the fellowship house for crafts. Some are in the cupboard in the lodge for large group activities. But during camp, you will have your own box. And in that box, you have a list of supplies that's right here on the lid. These are just sort of the basics of what you're going to need for your small group. And it's put in a box so you can pick it up and you can carry it anywhere. Because we don't have to meet inside for camp. We can meet outside. We can go anywhere that we want to take our small group. So maybe you will want to go to the outside chapel. Or maybe you'll want to go to the campfire pit. Or maybe you're going to want to come and sit somewhere near this Walter Scott Bridge. Walter Scott was one of those old guys in the lodge that we looked at earlier. Walter Scott was an evangelist, and back in his day he used to do a 5-finger exercise with little kids. Faith, repentance, baptism, forgiveness of sins, and the Holy Spirit comes. He would teach that to young children to help them understand the Christian faith. We're not doing the 5-finger exercise anymore. We have camp curriculum. But we are still teaching young people in this place what it means to follow Jesus Christ and what it means to live a Christian life that is different from what other people live. So I hope you have a great time at camp, and it's been fun telling you about what you can experience here in this place. Have fun. See you later.